Morata, il destro, bene per Dybala, sinistro, gol!
Lewandowski, Ball rein damit in die Mitte, Schieber mit dem Kopf, Reus, quer, Linie, Tor,
Golazo de Cristiano Ronaldo para el Real Madrid.
Il est passé Lucas, il est passé, il va tenir ce ballon, le remettre dans la... Quel but extraordinaire d'André Liga.
Hello and welcome to the Football Hipsters podcast. It's episode 25. Doesn't time fly? I am your host Kris and I'm back again, and I'm delighted to say I've got the full crew back. Tom is alive and well, aren't you, Tom? That's convincing. Brilliant. Okay, well, Tom is here, even if he's not alive, and Drew and John are also here. So good evening to you, gentlemen.
Evening.
Hello.
Good evening, Mental Gen.
In Mental Gen, indeed. I like that. I'm going to pick up on that one. Thank you for joining us and choosing to put us in your earballs as usual. We do appreciate listeners. And as usual, we have much to get through this evening. One piece of little business to get to before we kick off our usual trips into the great wide world of European football. We have decided, after much debate, that we are going to drop Team of the Week from the podcast. But don't panic. For all of you that care, which is probably none of you, but for those of you that do, we will still post it on our Twitter account and we'll still post it on our website. So if you are desperate to know who's made Team of the Week, then we will still put them up. We're just going to drop it from the podcast because time is what time is, and unfortunately there's little of it for me right now. So in an effort to try and save a little bit of time, that's what we're going to do. Right, that being said, let's get straight into things then, gentlemen. And it's Mighty 90s, back to normal this week. And Tom is up first, so I'll just introduce the segment. It is the Mighty 90. Okay, Tom, so we've had a little bit of a hiatus. I did my very best to inform everyone of what was going on last week. And indeed, the player who scored, I can't remember his name. He had a very long name.
Kaletka.
That's the Badger. Well, let's see what's happened this week, shall we? And we'll go into a little trip to Austria. So, your Mighty 90, sir, begins now.
Okay, so yeah, as you mentioned, it's off the back of an important 1-1 draw against Rapid Vienna, which maintained our 4-point lead at the top of the table. This week we went into a home match against Admira Vaca. Our young Peruvian winger Jordi Reyna returned from a long layoff of injury and came into the lineup, which pretty much starred all the usual Soriano, Berisha, etc., etc. Right early on in the match, Lazaro had a great attempt, saved by Simon Handel. Quite an easy stop in the end, but good to see the youngster having a go. Soriano smashed in an excellent effort, but it was only called to be offside, so that was unfortunate. Reyna hit over and Soriano had a shot, hit the bar. And finally, in the 61st minute, we did get the goal, and it was Soriano, the person who scored. A great layoff from Hee Chang Hwang, our Korean wizard, laid in the Spaniards, and he slotted home easily. Finally, with the last few shots of the game, Soriano had another chance that went over, but it ended up finishing 1-0, even with a Mina header being excellently saved by Side and Handel. That left us 7 points clear, and you'd expect that Rapid Vienna would win and to make it 4 again, but they didn't. They drew 2-2 away at Wolfsberger. So that means the gap is now 6 points to the top. So you have to say that going towards the title is very much in our favour. Austria Vienna lost 2-0, so they're now 11 points behind. So you can see the scale of their drop this season. So it's going to certainly be interesting, but I think we've got it this week.
Superb. See, you've been off for a week, but you haven't missed a beat. Superb, right on the dot. Okay, let's move on then. Good times, I would suggest. I'm presuming that Salzburg is still favourites to win the league. I'm guessing.
Oh yeah, of course.
Naturally. Brushes it off like it's nothing. Right, John, your turn then. Mönchengladbach after it's the 5-0 last week, wasn't it? So what have we got in store this week? Your Mighty 90 begins now.
I'm getting a little bit upset now. I'm thinking we should only do Mighty 90s when Gladbach are playing at home. Because unfortunately this week we were away to Ingolstadt, and as usual when we're away we don't get a result. We lost 1-0. perhaps not a huge surprise. Ingolstadt, I don't think they've been beaten at home all season, but we are without an away win now since October the 31st, so really worrying. Andre Hahn actually had a really good chance at the start. He was in for Raphael, who's still out injured, was running clean through and just seemed to sort of dawdle on the ball a little bit, and Hubner came in, and Hahn just didn't know he was there and got a really good challenge in before he could get his shot away. But then, to be honest, it was more Ingolstadt than Gladbach. They were really applying decent pressure. Jan Sommer having to make some really good saves from Dali da Costa, Lucas Hinterseer as well. Havard Norvite actually cleared a chance off the line from Hinterseer as well. I thought towards the end of the game, maybe we'll get a 0-0, a draw away at Ingolstadt isn't the worst result. But unfortunately, with just a few minutes left in injury time, Matthew Leckie crossed in from the right, and Hartmann, who has been, I think he's been at Ingolstadt his whole career actually, scored the game's only goal. We put some pressure on in the last minute of the game, throwing everybody forward that we could, but we just couldn't get their goal back. So we're now down to 5th in the league, 3 points behind Leverkusen. Next game is away to Hanover, and unfortunately for us, 3 of our remaining 5 fixtures are away from home. So with our record, doesn't look very good.
No, not good, not good. And of course, I was watching this live and informed you of the goal that went in the last few minutes. Sorry about that.
Yeah,
maybe I'm
thanks
the
for
jinx. Soz. I did tell you Inter have won, to be fair, so you can't have it both ways. Anywho, let's go across to Drew now and see what's going on in Holland. Feyenoord, who've been on the up a little bit, even if they were massively on the down previously. Good things. They were away from home this week, I think, so let's see how they got on. Drew, your time begins now.
Well, all that matters is the current moment, and we traveled to Twente and pulled away with a 1-0 win. That's 6 out of 6 now in our last 6 matches, so 14 goals scored, 3 allowed. The most informed side in Eredivisie at the moment, which is exactly what I want to see. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst kept with a 4-2-3-1 instead of his more traditional 4-3-3 that you like to see. Dirk Kuyt again played at the top of the midfield diamond / number 10, but he actually didn't really have his greatest showing this season, but we ended up not needing him. El Helio was absolutely brilliant. He hit the bar yet again, though, for I think the 3rd weekend in a row. So not very much luck in goal scoring terms, but he was our offensive spark for sure. He actually got the assist for Michel Kramer's opener in the 13th minute, and that's all we really needed. Jens Hornstra again performed well on the right-hand side, keeping Kuyt in the more central role. But back to front yet again, a lot more consistency has been shown, more stability throughout the side, which has been nice. The balance is finally correct in the first team, which I'm personally happy about, and we really kept Twente quiet. I think they only had maybe 9 total looks at goal, and only a few actually got to Vermeer all match long, so I'm happy. Unfortunately, as usual, PSV and Ajax both won, but again, we solidified 3rd. We're 6 points clear of Utrecht with 4 matches to go, so this was, for me, at least a goal for the season, and something like we'll achieve it.
Superb, very good, getting the hang of this. Good result that, actually, I must say. I know Twente aren't what they used to be, but even so, that's decent. Right, okay, just me left then, I suppose. Let's see what's going on this week. I did cheat last week. I skipped my Mighty 90 for those of you that listened in last week, of course, but it was a featured game in fairness, so don't hang me. Right, I shall stick some time on the clock for my good self, and my Mighty 90 will kick off now. So, this weekend, Lorient faced a tricky, tough-looking assignment, I should say, away at Cannes. Danny's Cannes, I should say, that the Stade Michel d'Ornano. 17,408 people watched it. The team knew Jeannot and Dong Rose and Philippotto all returned for Les Merlots, so that was a good sign. Lorient actually started the game really well. Remy Vakutra in the Cannes goal made a stunning save to deny Benjamin Jeannot, one of my favourites, early on. But on 16 minutes, it was him, Jeannot himself, who grabbed the opener after Vakutra's parry could only hit the post, and he turned in the rebound. So good start to the game. Cannes rallied, but sublime save from Lecomte, who was captain for the day, saved Delort's header, which would have levelled it up. So Lorient 1-0 up at the break, and a quick start to the second half was rewarded with a second goal as well. De Silva tripping Philippotto in the box, a penalty was awarded, and Majid Waris stepped up to tuck it home. It's his 11th goal of the season, which I'm live being informed is his highest tally since he played in Sweden a long time ago. Dennis Apia, he fired Cam back into the game on 64 minutes with a lovely solo run and super strike into the corner, and Cam almost levelled it at the death. Rodeland's header from the Apia cross was again brilliantly saved by Captain Lecomte, and he was superb as Lorient grabbed the 3 points. Kind of a much needed 3 points. I wouldn't say we were in trouble or danger, but we were looking over our shoulders a bit. But now 13th in the table, 42 points. Next up is at home to Toulouse. Everything should be fine. So there we go. That's Lorient wrapped up for another week. I'm always delighted to be a side that Danny supports, just to rub it in a little bit. He's gone very quiet this week. Strange that. You can, of course, catch up with all of Danny's ramblings and a particularly bizarre team of the season on our breakfast pod. So do check that out. And trust me, it's worth it just for Danny's team alone. It really is quite funny. Right, let's move on then. And we'll take our usual trip into the world of stats. Here's this week's World of Football. Okay, so let's have a look at the bits and bobs from around the main 5 leagues in Europe. Let's start with the Premier League. 30 goals in the 10 games, 4 clean sheets, no red cards, 6 home wins, 2 away wins. In Liga, 23 goals, took one off there, 7 clean sheets, 4 red cards, 5 home wins, 3 away from the 10 games. In La Liga, 21 goals, 6 clean sheets, no red cards, 6 home wins, 2 away from the 10 games. In Serie A, also 10 games. In La Liga, also 10 games played. No, not La Liga. Serie A, it was Serie A. I was right the first time. Sorry, we'll just scratch that one off. 21 goals, nevertheless, from the 10 games. 7 clean sheets, 3 red cards, 5 home wins, 4 away wins. We'll get there in the end. And finally, in Germany, I promise you it is Germany, in the Bundesliga, 25 goals, 3 clean sheets, 3 red cards, 1 home win, only 1 home win, 5 away wins from the 9 games. So the totals for the weekend: 120 goals, 27 clean sheets, 10 red cards, 23 wins were at home, 16 were away from the 49 games across the leagues. A couple of stats then. I've decided to have a look at the home and away wins this week. In the Premier League, we've had 130 home wins. We've had 137 in France. In Liga, we've had 151, the highest in La Liga, 143 in Serie A, and 112 in the Bundesliga. Away wins, this is quite interesting though. Premier League is the highest, 105, 96 in Liga, 93 in Serie A, 86 in the Bundesliga, 88 in La Liga. Always a little interesting one. And just a quick one at the goals per game ratio. The highest is still the Bundesliga, even though it's got a team less. 2.8 average goals per game. La Liga is second on 2.71, with the Premier League 2.63, Serie A 2.54, and Liga, bless it, 2.49, down in last place. So there we go. There's our weekly trip around the stats, and our thanks to Kelly for compiling those as usual. Right then, let's start our little voyage around the big 4 leagues of Europe. John, we're going to start with you. We'll have a little trip to Italy, and it's this week's Serie A. Okay, John, let's pick a game to start with. Shall we pick a biggie? What about Milan Juventus Saturday night? What happened?
Big game, historically speaking, probably not so much this season for the way Milan have been performing, and unsurprising that Juventus won 2-1 in the end at the San Siro. Milan actually took the lead, really good hope header from Alex from a corner, lovely Balotelli corner, it must be said. He had a bizarre game, more on that in a minute. He completely unmarked, which is very much not Juventus' trait. I think young Daniele Regani completely lost him on that corner, and someone like Alex has got the talent to score goals. I think it's his third of the season. But Juventus replied within 5 minutes. Buffon with the ball at his feet, finding a long ball up to Mandzukic, who nodded the ball down straight into Morata's path, who then just tapped it back across for Mandzukic to run onto. Nice little 1-2, a bit of old school style, big man, little man strike partnership. Mandzukic with the equaliser. It wasn't until the second half that Juventus took the lead. Pogba with I'm not quite sure if he meant to do it or not, but was from a corner, and he chested the ball down, and as it was sort of on the half volley, hit it into the ground, which I suppose as a footballer you are taught to do. But it almost looked like he intentionally did it so it would bounce over Donnarumma in goal, which is really impressive if that's exactly what he meant to do. I'm still not quite sure. But that is 22 games now, Juventus, without a defeat in the league. So they really, really are looking very good for winning it this season. As for Milan, again, at times good, at times really poor. And in Mario Balotelli, they have a player who really shows that. He produced a fantastic free kick in the game that got an equally amazing save from Gigi Buffon. But then at other times, he got the ball in the back of the net but used his hand to do it and got a booking for it. And it's weird that a player like that, who's got so much talent and ability, is at a club that have this almost the same thing. They have all the talent, but they just can't seem to string it all together and put it right.
Yeah, true that. I have to say the Pogba goal, whether he meant the shot or not, the touch to bring it down on the chest was... Wow, that was sublime, had to be said.
Yeah, and he also actually had a wonderful free kick as well that hit the post that completely beat Donnarumma. Really good, and it was even further out than Balotelli's was. So it was nice. It was nice to see some of the flashes of the talent that Balotelli's got. There was a couple of sort of first time shots and stuff that really tested Buffon. So I hope that at some point he sorts his career out, because he's got all the ability in the world.
Agree, and at no point, even when they're behind, at no point did I think Juventus would lose that game, has to be said. That is what they are like. Let's talk about Empoli, who played at home to Fiorentina. Would it be fair to say, this was one of the Sunday games at 2 p.m, would it be fair to say that Fiorentina have gone off the proverbial cliff?
Yeah, that would be fair to say. Empoli haven't won the Tuscany Derby in 18 years. So the fact that they won this, despite Fiorentina's form, was still a complete shock. They won 2-0. Pucciarelli with a goal just before half-time, and Zielinski with 5 minutes before time, both quite good individual goals and good finishes. But it's more the story of Fiorentina. Empoli hadn't won in the last 12 rounds of competition in Serie A, so this win was... even if it wasn't Fiorentina, was still a big surprise. But Fiorentina's form has been so bad, and whilst Paulo Sousa's attacking style of play is very exciting, defensively Fiorentina have just fallen to bits in the second half of the season, and there's now talk that maybe the reason behind Fiorentina's dip is that Sousa's perhaps taken his eye off the ball. Zenit St. Petersburg sporting director was in the stands at the game, and there's talk that Sousa has already met with Zenit and their representatives and may be off there to Zenit in the summer. So maybe that's part of Fiorentina's collapse, because I really can't work out why they've taken such a dip in form. It's bizarre.
It's really it seems to have coincided with that Europa League exit. I don't know whether that's...
I mean, a lot of people did mention that, but the confusing thing for me is that means there's less pressure, because they obviously they've got a small squad and they've got serious budget restrictions there at Fiorentina. So not being in that competition anymore and having to play less games should improve their form, but they've just really, really gone off the ball. So maybe there is something in the Sousa thing. The Zenit representatives were there in the stands, that's fact, but whether Sousa has met with them or not is up for debate. But that's the talk at the moment.
Maybe they could do a swap with AVB. Stay tuned for that one. Let's move on to the next game then. Napoli, who suffered what a lot of people would call the key defeat last weekend, and obviously Juventus extended their lead, so everyone says, right, that's title over. They had to respond at home to Hellas Verona. Did they?
Yeah, quite comfortably. 3-0 win, not massively surprising. No Higuain, obviously, because of his 4-match ban. Insigne, Callahan and Gabbiadini were the goal scorers for this game. Gabbiadini with the first goal is fantastic, not necessarily his header, but the ball from Marek Hamsik out to Callahan to find him in the box, who got off a first-time shot, which was a really good save from the Verona keeper, but Gabbiadini was there for the rebound. And then just before half-time, Callahan again was running clean through, and Cyprian brought him down from behind. Straight red card, sent off, correct decision. And Insigne stepped up for the penalty to make it 2-0. And then in the second half, Callahan's hard work, he paid off and he got himself a goal and got on the score sheet. But despite it being Verona, there were serious question marks over Napoli on whether they could play without Higuain. Gabbiadini stepped in, did really well. I still don't think he's an out-and-out striker. He's a fantastic player and he's got great ability. But he's someone who plays better off of a striker, I think. But Hamsik really shone in this game, and the other players stepped up. So it's good news for Napoli because at least it keeps some pressure and it keeps the distance between them and Roma a little bit as well. Higuain and Napoli have appealed his red card decision. They're trying to get the ban reduced by 2 games, and they should find out on Friday whether they win that appeal.
Crucial because Inter next sandwiched. Well, they've got Inter sandwiched by Bologna with the next game the game with Roma, which is that biggie, isn't it? So they've got three
tough games, yeah,
and all could be potentially without their main man. So, yeah, interesting to see what happens there. Final game then is Roma. In fact, they played Bologna at home tonight. Bologna obviously a side sort of lower down in the table. You would expect Roma home in form. Didn't end up the way you would have expected, though, did it?
Not necessarily. Bologna have, since Donadoni's taken over, that whilst their position in the table is certainly where you probably expect, maybe even a little bit higher than you expect, when they play the big teams, they've actually really stepped up, and they've been getting very good results. The game finished 1-1, and Bologna actually took the lead. It's got to be said, it was Roma all game and all Roma pressure, but Bologna did what they do best. They closed down, they worked really hard, they got the goal from a set piece, which they've done a lot this season. Again, Roma's weakness has been from set pieces. Rossettini with the goal for Bologna, but Roma, they'll rue the chances they misses. Mo Salah hit the post 3 times in this game. El Shawari had the ball in the back of the net but was called for offside. I think Salah actually had the ball in the back of the net as well and was also pulled back for offside. Totti came on in this game, which was very nice for the Roma fans. It was very exciting, and it was him that actually found Mo Salah in the end. He finally stopped hitting the post and put one in the actual in the net. Totti with a great ball, springing the offside trap. But I think Roma will still look at it as points dropped. They weren't ruthless enough in this game, and it's not done yet, but it possibly sees any chance of them catching Napoli up. There's still games, and obviously there is the big game against Napoli, which could help them, but it's going to make it difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the result they would have been looking for. Speaking of results, let's catch up with the other results from the weekend's action and indeed the table.
Yeah, I've cursed Carpi and Frosinone as they both lost 1-0 after I said that they might stay up. Carpi losing 1-0 to Chievo and Frosinone losing 1-0 to Inter, although I was happy about that one, obviously. Palermo lost 3-0 to Lazio, perhaps unsurprisingly. Also have some news on them, probably also unsurprisingly. I'll get to that in a minute. Sampdoria lose 2-0 to Udinese. Sass lost 1-0 to Genoa, and Torino won 2-1 to Atalanta. As for the table, excuse me, Juventus still top, 6 points clear now from Napoli, back in second on 70 points, who are 6 points clear from Roma, and then a further 6 points back to Inter. So they are the top 3. It looks like that's probably how they're definitely the top 3 that will finish in one of those spots. I still think Juventus are just going to go cruise through with it. Verona down at the bottom on 22 points, virtually relegated, just not official yet. Frosinone 27, Palermo 28, Carpi also still on 28, Udinese just above them on 34, so they spread that gap a little bit.
So you have indeed cursed teams. That's what we do best, isn't it?
I do it all the time. It's amazing.
That gives you something to do, doesn't it? What about this news then? It can't be another sacking at Palermo, can it?
Yes, it can. Actually, I've got 3 bits of news. I'll do the other 2 very quickly. First of all, Sarri has been named Coach of the Year by Italian journalists, so congratulations. That is the Napoli manager. Well deserved, I think. It's really impressive what he's done with that team and the identity and the attacking, really flowing style. They're very exciting to watch. There is news, none of it confirmed yet, but it does look likely. We already said that Mihajlovic would be be leaving Milan. It looks like he maybe have left already after the disappointment this weekend. And the talk is that Christian Brocchi is going to be the Milan coach as of tomorrow. That will be Tuesday if you're listening to this. He's their youth team coach. None of that is confirmed yet, though. So as you are listening to this, it might be in the papers and all official by then. But that's what we are reading. But for the official news, Palermo have sacked Walter Novellino. His assistant manager Giovanni Tedesco, who was temporary manager for 2 games, if you've remembered him following the Palermo story all season, has resigned as well. He's walked away saying that he clearly isn't helping the team and hasn't done enough, so there's no point in being there. And would you believe it, Ballardini, that's David Ballardini, who was at the club before as manager, who was sacked, is being reported that he is maybe coming back for the job, despite the fact that the entire squad hate him and basically the goalkeeper sacked him last time. So I think, if I've counted right, that's Palermo's 9th manager of the season if Ballardini gets the job.
Why on earth would he come back again? I mean, talk about sucker for punishment, surely.
I have absolutely no idea. And very strangely as well, because he's not even still on the books. Like a lot of Italian clubs normally keep the managers on. When they sack them, they just keep paying them instead of paying them off, because it actually works out cheaper instead of paying them off in one big lump. But he was actually properly had his contract terminated, which is very rare in Italy. I mean, again, that Ballardini story is also not official yet, but that's the talk that he's going to come back. So
Crackers.
there we go. Good old Palermo. It was a nice return to the training ground anyway, as 300 fans turned up and were throwing fireworks at the squad and the manager and everyone else anyway before Novellino was sacked. So
no, always in Italy, you've always got to have a little bit of firework throwing. That's part of the course. What about a game to look out for next week? I'm hazarding a guess that it might be one that involves Inter. Would I be right?
Yeah, Inter Napoli Saturday night. It's definitely the biggest game of the weekend. It's a huge game for both teams. Inter need to win if they've got any aspirations of possibly stealing a Champions League spot off Roma, and Napoli need to win to keep up any pressure on Juve and any hopes of them slipping up and maybe stealing the title.
Interesting. Do tune in. I think that one could be tasty. Although, it'll either be tasty or very one-sided, one of the two. We shall see. Right, okay. That's it for Italy then this week. As usual, send your questions to John if you have any. I know we've got a couple here. I know one of them actually was on that Palermo story, but I'll save it for later just in case it's something different, a different angle. Right, let's move on then. And Drew, let's find out what's been happening in Germany this week. It is the Bundesliga. Right, Andrew, let's start with our good friend. We're going to start calling him friend of the pod, Julian Nagelsmann, just because he's so hipster and young and cool. He's turned things around, I think it's fair to say, at Hoffenheim. They had what I would guess was a 6-pointer on paper away at Eintracht Frankfurt this weekend. How did it end up?
Well, they keep winning now. I wouldn't necessarily say that they keep winning, but they're still in form. They've won 3 out of the last 4, and that's the form that you want to see if you sort of want to avoid the drop, if you will. And he's made quite a name for himself. Hoffenheim keep playing well. It's hard to sort of talk about them and say things I haven't already said. But again, what he's done is he's come in and instantly they've become a more consistent side, not just in getting better results at a more consistent pace, but just the way the players are playing. The back 4 looks more self-assured for sure under him, and especially he's getting the best out of players like Niklas Sula, who used to be a pretty highly touted young German center back, and now he's looking more and more self-assured. And Fabian Schär as well. I think most of us know Fabian Schär, and he had a slow start with his Hoffenheim career, but now under Nagelsmann he's done well. So the back 4 has been great. Sebastian Ruddy has been one of their better players, and he really has become a midfield anchor, but also featuring at center back and also left back at sometimes. But overall, they're getting the best from basically everybody. It's not just 1 or 2 of the players who they rely on. Everybody is putting in a shift, and that's what you want to see, especially when you're trying to avoid drop, much like we saw Leicester last season, where they won 6 in a row because everyone chipped in all areas of the pitch. That's what Hoffenheim are doing now, and it's working. when you can go to Eintracht Frankfurt, I know they're struggling, but it's still difficult to win on the road and pull a 2-0. Goals from Amiri and Manuel Ut as well. So it's another good result. Like I said, 10 points out of the last 12. There's still some time where they might be able to slip and actually fall back down. They're only a point clear of Augsburg in 15th and 3 points clear of Werder Bremen. But I would say on the balance of form, Hoffenheim will be safe, but there's still 5 matches to go, and I think it's possible, but I'm kind of rooting for them. I think we all are in a little bit of a way. So
absolutely, and big things expected of Amiri. Apparently, he's going to be, or could potentially be, a big star. So keep an ear out for that name. He wasn't. I always get him confused. It's Mustafa Amini that was at Dortmund, not Amiri, isn't it? So I always get the two confused.
This is Nadim Amiri, different but close enough.
Yeah, close enough. I'll take it. Let's talk about Bremen then. You mentioned them in that roundup previously. For such a giant club, they're a big club. Let's be honest. They're a big name. They're a traditional powerhouse of German football. Or certainly one of the names you'd think of when looking at German football. Down in the relegation sort of playoff spot. They had a game this weekend at home to Augsburg, the team directly above them. It's not got any better, has it?
No, and the results saw Augsburg actually swap places. Augsburg were in 16th coming into the match. Went to Bremen, got a 2-1 win. Florian Gulish opened the scoring for Bremen. He got them on the right foot, and it was just before halftime. And that's, if you're the home crowd, you go into the break, feeling a little bit positive. But Alpha Finnbogason leveled the scoring on 53 minutes, just after the break, and then Jong Hil Kang, he went ahead and gave them the winner late on, 86 minutes again. So maybe Bremen just switched off, but we've seen it multiple times in the season, and I know you can vouch for that, where Bremen just at the back, they just one key error at the wrong time, and they've dropped more points again. And we've seen that too often. And they might be in a bit of a scenario where they might, much like Hanover, almost sort of need to drop down in order to sort of refresh things, maybe not just management, but the type of players they have at the club and what have you. But again, it's another good result for Marcus Weinzel, but nothing is secure as of just before. They're only Augsburg, only 2 points clear of Bremen now. And again, with 5 matches to play in Augsburg, we're in poor form up to this result. So it was absolutely crucial they actually got to 3 points, but nothing for them is guaranteed. I think they're going to be fighting tooth and nail for the rest of the season, but I think they can do it. I think they have the quality to do it. And given their experience in the Europa League this season, I think they have maybe a little bit more belief about them than, say, Werder Bremen or Eintracht Frankfurt. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah.
Without big Alex Meyer, you'd have to say Eintracht Frankfurt struggling, and without pretty much half a team, you'd have to say Werder Bremen is struggling. So two big sides that look like being the two that might fall. Just out of interest, if Werder Bremen were to sit into that third relegation spot, or the playoff spot, as we'll call it, currently in Bundesliga 2, you've got Nuremberg, who were, I think they were in the Bundesliga last season, were they not?
Nuremberg, yes. No, maybe 2 years ago?
Or 2 years ago, yeah. When they had Dermich and whatnot. If you had to call a winner between them and Werder, would you say Nuremberg are more likely to come up, or Bremen to stay where they are?
I really don't know. That's actually a tough question. The thing I like about Nuremberg is I think they have, I know it's a division below, but I think they may have a little bit more about them going forward than Bremen does. And I think maybe for that reason, over the course of the playoff, I think they actually might pit Bremen, and they'll have more motivation to get back up than Bremen just seems so bereft of the ability to put a shift in and try to even play to avoid the drop. So I would actually say if it happened today, I think Nuremberg would actually go ahead and win as well.
Interesting. Really interesting. We shall have to see what plays out as far as the season goes with them. All right, let's move on to Sunday's action then. We had games against, or we had two very big games, but we'll start probably with the biggest, which was the game between Schalke and Dortmund, which is always a big local rivalry. How did it end up?
Not the way I wanted, but it could have been worse. Ended up in a 2-2 draw, which, personally though, for the expectations and given how Schalke has been playing recently, very topsy-turvy, and we've been in excellent form, I actually would have wanted the 3 points. But it's a derby that when you look at the historical standings, it's very, very even. So you couldn't go in expecting us to necessarily win. Also, tough match against Liverpool in midweek. So Thomas Tuchel actually rested a lot of the players. For example, Aubameyang and he came off the bench. Gundogan came off the bench. Mkhitaryan also came off the bench. So only 3 days prior, tough 1-1 draw away from home. So bit of a rest. But even though I questioned it. When you're playing Schalke, even though you're on 3 days rest, I think and given that you're trying to chase down Bayern potentially, I still think you tell your players to earn their paycheck this week and have put in another shift, put in some overtime. But despite that fact, I'll take a 2-2, I suppose. Kagawa opened the scoring. Leroy Sané and the 49th. Leroy Sané leveled Manners on 51. Matthias Ginter put us back in the lead on 56 minutes, but then Klaas-Jan Huntelaar leveled Manners again 10 minutes later, and that was that. Honestly, back and forth match, a lot of free flowing football. It was good stuff from both, but again, I'm a little disappointed. And I think with this result, honestly, I think we probably just can't catch Bayern now. It was an outside chance before, but we're behind them by 7 points. 5 matches to go. I don't see them dropping that much points, and you never know. We can also drop a few, so we'll see. But yeah.
That game with Liverpool Anfield takes on even more significance now, probably, and crucial. That Shinji Kagawa goal, by the way, though, wow. If you haven't seen that, what a finish. What a player as well. And also, if any of you that are out there that are fans of particular boots, like I am, do check out Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's designed or personally custom designed Nike boots. They are very swish, I have to say. Very nice. Anywho, that's enough about fashion. Let's move on to our final game, which was also on the Sunday. FC Köln against Leverkusen. Was this a case of Leverkusen's goalkeeper being very good and Leverkusen taking their chances, or was it the right result where Leverkusen came out winners?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head in your first assessment. Bert Leno was actually absolutely brilliant in this match. In early doors, up until Julian Brandt's opener in the 39th minute, Cologne had every chance to get a goal, in their own right. So I think it's just one of those days at the office where things just didn't necessarily go for them. They couldn't find the back of the net. The keeper had a brilliant performance, and Leverkusen did take their chances. They had fewer chances, but Leverkusen can create higher quality chances. Chicharito's goal in the 44th minute was a beautiful team goal, and he found space 8 yards out, and he capitalized for the second. And it's moments like that separated the match. So for me, you have to look at their form at the moment, and 4 in a row. And as John said before, Gladbach might struggle down the stretch, being poor from home, and Leverkusen, their morale seems to be pushing them through, and the quality is not shining through. They're scoring more goals, so they're gonna give Hertha a run for the money for the third guaranteed Champions League spot. But no fault to Cologne. They gave it their all. It just wasn't one of those days. But their form's not the greatest, but I still expect them to stay up. Nothing drastic there. It was just a good match. And Chicharito, again, he's shown why his 2 previous employers should have given him maybe a little bit more of a chance. Also, Karim Bellarabi was fantastic in that match. He had assists on both goals. So, getting the right stuff from the right players at the right moment. We'll probably see them in Champions League, I'd have to say.
Yeah, in one of those spots now. Give us the other results then from the weekend's fixtures and where the table is left now.
Sure. Hertha drew Hanover 2-2 at home on Friday. What else? Hamburg lost at home to Darmstadt 2-1. Stuttgart lost at home to Bayern Munich 3-1. What else was there? Wolfsburg drew Mainz 1-1 at home. And that's it. Just those other 4.
And what about the table?
Bayern Munich still top on 75, Dortmund second on 68, Hertha third on 49, Leverkusen fourth on 48, Gladbach fifth on 45, also tied with Mainz on same point total, and Schalke actually three-way tie for fifth, all on 45. Bremen 16th on 28, Eintracht Frankfurt 17 on 27, and Hanover last on 18 points. Again, they're done. That's their season. So.
Yes, gone. Nothing to report news-wise that you can think of at all this week?
No, just Wolfsburg go to the Bernabeu with a 2-0 aggregate lead so far, looking to do something that no one thought possible from them this season in Champions League. So keep an eye on that. That's about it for the news, though.
Do you think they're going to do it?
I don't. Tom and I were just remarking before. You could really see them going to Spain and getting absolutely spanked, like 4 or 5-0. But it's also one of those things where Real Madrid sometimes struggle at the back. If Wolfsburg get an early goal or even a late goal, and Real just don't take their chances, you can see them losing 2-1 but still going through. It's just a matter of if they can get a goal. If they can get a goal, I think they have a chance, but they have to stop Real. So you never know.
Agree. They need to keep it tight for at least half an hour, I think, as well.
Yep.
That's the key things. If they go behind early, that will be floodgates wide open, methinks. Okay, what about a game for next week to look out for?
Oh, I had a couple, but I think I'm there done. I'm gonna watch Bayer play host Eintracht Frankfurt. So, given Hertha Berlin have a tough match, they have to travel to Hoffenheim, and Hoffenheim are trying to avoid relegation. They're on form. Hertha could struggle there, and then as John said before, Gladbach are on the road, and even though it's against Hanover, Gladbach are one of the worst teams on the road this season. So if Leverkusen can get the result and maybe get some help, they'll jump up to that guaranteed third place spot. So I think it's a key match for them, and they're in form, so they're interesting to watch right now.
Poor old John, getting ripped. Good stuff. Okay, good stuff. Thank you, Drew. As usual, any questions German related, chuck them Drew's way. I know we did have an excellent one actually that I must dig out in a minute, so remind me. Right, let's go over to Tom now and see what's been happening in sunny Spain. It's this week's La Liga. Right then, Tom, what's been going on in Spain? Let's start with, should we start with Real Madrid, seeing as we were just talking about them?
Can do.
They entertained Eibar, who've surprised a few this season, but have been on a little bit of a sticky spell of late. Did this one kind of go to form?
Yeah, it did. Well, the first thing to mention is Marcelo was on the bench. I'm not 100% sure on the details whether that was to do with the whole antics that occurred during the Wolfsburg match, but he didn't start the match. But Real Madrid got off to a flying start. James Rodriguez curled in a 5th-minute free kick. Excellently curled into the left-hand side. Please do go check that out. And the Ronaldo show started. He laid off Lucas Vazquez to get the second. Before he found the net himself, was on the left-hand side of the goal and smashed it in the near post. And then he was involved in the fourth, just before half-time, playing the ball across the box into Hesse's path, and he easily finished. And that's pretty much where Real Madrid just said, 4-0, half-time. I think we'll stick to that, and that's how it finished. Ronaldo missed the chance in the second half, but that was pretty much it.
Job done, so to speak. Job done. A good warm-up, I guess, for seeing as they have to score 4 potentially against Wolfsburg. Good start to that. But okay, let's move on to our next game then. Now, Espanyol, team that obviously everyone knows is close to your heart. They played host to Atletico Madrid, who probably still have an outside sniff at the title. Again, did this go to form? Because there's a bit of a good start for the home side, at least.
Yeah, it did. It started off very well for Espanyol. Although Torres did hit the bar really early on, but then Espanyol took the lead. A corner which Diop headed in, which is how he scores his goals for Espanyol in the 29th minute. But then Atletico decided to kick themselves into gear. Koke started his amazing display, I must say, during this game. A chip pass found Torres, and he hit a half volley across the keeper into the bottom left-hand corner to level the score. Koke then, again, brilliantly, great bit of footwork, and then fed through Griezmann to slot against the post and into the net to make it 2-1. And Atleti sealed the deal in the 89th minute. Torres crossed for Koke to cap off a brilliant performance with a good instinctive header to make it 3-1. So they now close the gap significantly, and I'll say more about that when I go onto the table. But Espanyol should be safe. I'm saying that with hands held together, praying. But it's worrying form for them a bit. But hopefully they can turn it around.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that's the two Madrid clubs out the way, both getting wins. So I guess the pressure is on Barcelona, and they went to Sociedad. Now, fair to say they don't have a particularly good record at the Anoeta, and that continued again.
It did. San Sebastian's been a very awkward place for Barcelona to come. Even David Moyes managed to get a 1-0 victory against Barcelona there, and it was the same scoreline this time. And again, sort of the same sort of style of match. Sociedad took the lead really early on, a headed shot from Oyarzabal, the youngster, getting the goal. So that put them one up, and then Barcelona battered Sociedad. Really, the goalkeeper, the youngster. I say youngster, he's in his early 20s, but I still consider that young for a goalkeeper. I had a brilliant performance in goal. First of all, stopping Thuram's half volley, which took a slight deflection off Reyes, and the instinctive hand he put up to block it was really quite excellent. He pushed Iniesta's long range effort over the bar, got a fingertips to Neymar's free kick. Saved Messi's close range shots, and then caught another Messi shot, which was quite a powerful header for the little man to hit him, but really did take it quite well. And Iniesta had enough effort near the end, but he definitely continued his fine form in goal and stopped that one as well, and it finished 1-0. So Barcelona, Luis Enrique definitely weren't happy at the end of the game, but I really can't put my finger on what it is about San Sebastian, but they really cannot win there.
No, absolutely. As you say, really was exceptional. But I really like the look of that Oyarzabal chappy up front. I think he looks, he sort of reminds me of like a young Adariz in a weird way. I don't know. Yeah, I like him. So see how he does in the future. Final game is a game I watched actually on Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon. Valencia, who played host to Sevilla. So you got Valencia, who struggled to win at home or away, against Sevilla, who just cannot win away. And this one, it was all about the late action, wasn't it? Really.
It was, to be honest, it's the perfect game for Valencia, and in such bad form, you want to come against a team who haven't won away all season in the league. So it started off pretty much Valencia on the attack. They had a few chances, and then the 41st minute, Parejo, who had a fantastic game, swung a free kick in, took a slight deflection, but took it past Sergio Rico to make it 1-0. And then straight after that, Santamina hit the post, and Parejo had another chance from the follow-up play. The shot was saved excellently by Rico again. And then it wasn't until the 86th minute Sevilla finally thought they'd salvaged a point. Your man, former Lorient striker Gamero, with a near post effort that was quite excellently shot, made it 1-1. And then in the 91st minute, the man who has not scored in so long and has frustrated the Valencia fans for ages and ages, Negredo, stabbed in a kerfuffle in the box after a free kick was not cleared by the Sevilla defence to make it 2-1. And that's how it finished. So Valencia got a very, very much needed 3 points.
I do like Kevin Gamero. He's just one of those, like, it's hard to describe. He always does the same. The goal he scored.
Nice.
I mean,
he's just a nice striker.
He is, and even I know it was a goalkeeping error, probably beaten at his near post, but that instinctive early shot in the near post is superb. And on as a sub, I do
like the Sessegnon sort of goal against Man City, the instinctive early near post hit.
Yeah, absolutely.
Catching the keeper out.
Yeah, always difficult to save those, but I do like Gamero. But yeah, interesting. Methinks Sevilla have their eyes on a European prize once again, just for a change. Okay, what was the other results from this weekend's games then?
Yeah, okay, so the Friday kickoff, Granada earned a well-fought 1 point in a goalless draw at home to Malaga. Betis had to wait until the 81st minute for their talisman Ruben Castro to get all 3 points at home to struggling Levante. Celta also had to rely on their own talisman, Nolito, to score in their 1-0 away win at Sporting Gijón. Villarreal looked to have secured their Champions League place. Denis Suarez and Bakambu scoring in a 2-0 win at home to Getafe. Them getting another loss, which probably surrenders them to a more likely relegation. Iñaki Williams has now returned from injury in the league for Bilbao and scored in the 1-0 home win against Rayo Vallecano. So that's promising for them. And finally, tonight's game, as we record on a Monday night, Depor's poor form continued, losing 3-1 at home to high-flying Las Palmas. Lucas Perez put Depor 1-0 up, but a brace from Araujo and a goal from David Garcia turned it round for Las Palmas.
Yeah, they impressed me. They really are. They're kind of like, well, a lower class Leicester in the Spanish league. They just keep turning out results.
Around, Malaga style.
Absolutely. Where does that leave us table wise? Because it's all getting tight at the top all of a sudden.
It is getting tight. It's there's still no change in positions, but it's getting tighter. Barcelona are top, of course, on 76, but only 3 points behind now, with just a few matches remaining. Atleti And then 4 points behind Barcelona in third on 72 points is Real, so really quite tight at the top. Then there's a bit of a gap, 12 points down to fourth place Villarreal on 60 points, and then another gap, which is where I think Villarreal may have secured Champions League. Celta Vigo are back into fifth with 52 points. Down at the bottom, in 20th place, Levante, 25 points. There's still a little bit of hope, but I think they are pretty much down. Getafe are on 28 points in 19th. In 18th, Sporting Gijón also on 28 points. Out of the relegation zone, Granada on 30 points and Rayo Vallecano on 41. So you've got looking at those sort of 5 to decide who's going to be going down. And you want some news?
Yes, go for it.
Getafe, as I mentioned, sitting there 2 points from safety, have now sacked their manager, Fran Escriva. That's the 10th manager this season in La Liga to lose his job. Obviously, Valencia accounting for 20% of those. But they're yet to announce their successor, and their first game, when they do announce a successor, will be against Real Madrid.
Yes, interesting. That's I suppose the new manager, that would be their first game, will it, if they take over against Real Madrid?
Yes, against Real Madrid, yeah.
Oh, jeez. I suppose at least you can always go up from where you are.
Yeah, exactly. You can say after that it's not going to get any worse.
No, good grief, mental. Okay, and finally, a game to look out for next week.
So Sunday, Sky Sports 3 is Barcelona against Valencia. So with Valencia now getting a win, and Barcelona in absolutely dire form, haven't won in 3 matches in the league. So we'll see what happens in that.
Should be fun. And of course, the midweek Champions League, we've got Atletico, Barcelona.
And Real and Wolfsburg, as you mentioned. Yeah.
Called it.
And there's Europa as well with Sevilla against Bilbao, and Villarreal are away to Sparta Prague.
Toughy. Call it in the Barcelona Atletico Madrid game. Who's going through? I
think Barca will sneak through.
I think Atleti will. Interesting. Interesting. Okay, good. Again, as usual, any questions for Tom on anything Spanish, do pop him a tweet. I'm sure I'll be happy to chat things with you, so please do. Right, time for me to hand over the reins to John now, and we'll bring it full circle, come back to the French shores, and it's this week's Liga.
Right, Liga this week. We're going to start with Montpellier, who are hosting Lyon. Lyon on a bit of a resurgence, trying to steal second spot from Monaco. How'd it go?
Yeah, they are, and I think they will as well. I'm just gonna say it straight away. He's back, Nabil Fekir. He's back. So he was only back very briefly, it has to be said, but I had to drop that one in straight away because I know a lot of people have been asking me, when's he coming back? When's he coming back? Well, he's back. He's got a lovely beard, and he still looks just wonderful. So happy days. Now onto the game. Yes, 2-0 victory for Lyon. 2 goals from Max Cornet, who's been one of those players that's really stepped up in the absence of form of others periods of time. He looks an exciting young talent, and it was a fairly routine victory for Lyon. It was the opening game of the weekend on the Friday evening. Montpellier, it's no win in 5 now for them. The form is a bit of a worry. They're only 3 points clear of the drop. A few weeks ago I said they'd probably be safe after a number of decent results, but that 5 without a win is a bit concerning. But Lyon was the focus in this game, and 8 wins from the last 10 with Fekir back, as I mentioned, and 10 goals in their last 5 away games in the league, which is pretty impressive. It's certainly the form team, along with another team that I'll mention in a minute. But they're flying up the league. They're up to second. They have leapfrogged Monaco, which again we'll touch on in a second. But I think Lyon are in pole position. It's really nice to see them playing the football that most people kind of peg them for when they talk about and think about Lyon. So things are clicking. Things seem to be good, and hopefully they do achieve that second place, because I think they have been the second best side in the league overall this season.
Yeah, enjoy it while you can, Lyon fans, because half of that team will probably be sold in the summer.
Very true.
Sorry.
Sadly.
Yeah, put a sour note on it, one. No, sorry. Moving on now. Toulouse were hosting Bastia. Toulouse fighting for their lives at the bottom of the table. Been in good form. Bastia, fair to say, got their feet up a little bit.
Yeah, they are on the beach, as the old saying goes. They got the flip flops on. They've got they got the sort of brightly coloured cocktail in the hand, and the inflatables on. So yes, they are on the beach. Bastia have only won 1 in 6 now. They should be safe, to be honest. I mean, they're 43 points. They're kind of mid-table. What are they now? 11th in the league. So yeah, barring an absolute real collapse, I think they'll be fine. They'll probably end up picking up 1 or 2 more points. So, yeah, they were a little bit relaxed, but that doesn't change the fact that Toulouse, all of a sudden, have decided to turn up since their change of manager. It's a change of emphasis. They've got Ben Yedder getting goals. Braithwaite's finding form as well. Oscar Trejo's finding form. And they absolutely whipped Bastia. Goals, 2 from Ben Yedder, aforementioned. Trejo and Braithwaite were the scorers on the day. A 4-0 victory. Toulouse, 3 clean sheets in their last 4. That's crucial because they were shipping goals for fun previously, and it's 3 wins in those last 4 games as well. And those goals are starting to flow, and that is what is going to potentially get them out. It would be quite an incredible turnaround because they are still looking most likely, if you think of the bottom 3 places as relegation, they are still 4 points away from Ram, who are in 17th. But, this is a big but, if they can maintain this form, if they can pick up another, say, 2 wins from the next 3, you just never know. The signs are good, and they are making the home stadium a fortress. So if they can keep the goals coming, I do think they might just squeak out of this.
Toulouse trying to break the rule of nominative determinism,
Indeed.
as they say. Now, we mentioned Monaco. They travelled away to Lille. Now, Lille had their own ambitions this season, one of the many teams chasing for a Europa League spot. And Monaco trying to keep second spot. We already know they've lost that, but how did this one go?
This is just completely bizarre from Lille. I mean, aside that traditionally this season you think of Lille, particularly over the past few seasons, they're a bit defensive, they're a bit safety first. You know, I don't want to use the word boring because that's harsh, but they haven't been the most exciting. Let's put it that way. And then all of a sudden, they've just hit this most incredible patch of form. 5 straight wins. They've only conceded 2 goals in that period of time. It's a complete turnaround in their form. They're up to 7th in Liga now. And they just absolutely smashed Monaco completely. They were a goal up through Amalfitano. West Ham fans might just about remember him, as will West Brom fans, I think I'm right in saying. Eder, the Portuguese striker, he also got a goal, as did Obadi, as did Gilbert Sidibe from right back. Savelli was actually sent off for Lille after 55 minutes, so you kind of thought that could turn the tide. But Echegile was dismissed for Monaco just 10 minutes later, so that kind of killed that one off. Baloui got a late consolation for Monaco, but Monaco looked scarily open in this game. For a side that are traditionally very defensively disciplined and very cagey in how they come out games, that they've really started to look a little bit open. Conceded 2 goals from corners last week at Bordeaux, you might remember. So a worry for Monaco. They're hitting the skids at the worst possible time. If you look at their form, 2 defeats in a row, only 1 win in 8. It's not good. And when you've got teams like Lyon, Nice and Rennes right behind looking to take advantage, you could even see Monaco fall out of Europe altogether.
Not good at all. And one of those teams you mentioned, Nice, who we're going to talk about next, it was the perfect result for them, Monaco losing, and it was the Ben Arfa show.
It was, yeah. This Ben Arfa is bizarre. It really is like a complete turnaround in his form. I mean, talk about players that just explode. You talk about the people like Mahrez and Vardy for Leicester in the Premier League, and it's very much the same story with Nice and with Ben Arfa. He got a hat-trick. It's his first hat-trick of the season, 33, 41 and 56-minute goals. Rennes defeated quite soundly, really. Bit of a surprise because Rennes have been free-flowing and attacking and been enjoying themselves, but Rennes, it's their first defeat in 6, but it is a really damaging defeat, and they've got Monaco and PSG as 2 of the next 3 fixtures, so yeah, could possibly see them maybe falling away out of this race. But as for Nice, as you say, it's the Ben Arfa show. 16 goals in 28 games this season, and when you consider he's not actually an out-and-out forward, that's quite impressive. He's played it all across the front 3, but he's not an out-and-out striker. They've only had 1 loss at home in 8, and they are only 2 points off second. So Nice will come on to the game of the week. They're involved in it, but I think Nice are probably the best outside shot to challenge Lyon. I could see them pipping Monaco though, particularly if they carry on this run of form and if Ben Arfa continues to keep scoring goals.
Yeah, certainly been one of the most exciting sides to watch in Liga this season, Nice. But let's get the rest of the results from the weekend and the table as it stands.
Yeah, so PSG rested a whole host of stars, as you'd expect ahead of their game with Man City in the week. They ran out 2-0 winners at Guingamp, 2 goals from Lucas Moura. Angers and Gazalec Ajaccio played out a 0-0 draw. Probably not enough for Ajaccio. It's a good point away from home, but they need to be picking up 3, so that's not good for them. St Etienne beat the relegated Troyes, as we mentioned before. Marseille got the winner there. We mentioned the Cannes-Lorient game. Reims beat Nantes by 2-1. Big result that for Reims, who are fighting relegation. A late own goal from Sabali getting the points there. And also Marseille and Bordeaux played out a 0-0 draw on Sunday. Segue nicely briefly into the news section on that one. Lots of ugly scenes, lots of placards, banners. I don't know if you saw any of these reports about what are you aware of what they do at the Velodrome? They've got these big speakers where they shout chants into the crowd, and it gets
yeah.
They rather amusingly played the Benny Hill theme repeatedly whenever Marseille players were fouled or made mistakes in the game, which I think on the scale of trolling is right up there with the very best I've ever heard. So, but yeah, there's some really ugly scenes. Fans were being pepper sprayed. There was flares thrown on the pitch. One of the Bordeaux players was actually hit by one as he left the field. There was security racing to get around the Marseille bench as the final whistle blew. So really ugly scenes in that 0-0 draw. Bordeaux obviously just wanted to get in there and get out. They'll probably be fine, but real trouble at Marseille. Real trouble. I can give you the table, in fact, if you like.
French people revolting. I've never heard of anything like it.
Who'd have thought? I'll touch on Marseille again in the news section briefly, but I'll give you the table. PSG, as we know, champions, 83 points from their 33 games played. Lyon, as we mentioned, are up to second, just ahead of Monaco. Same points, 55 points, but they're ahead on the on goal difference. By the way, Lyon's goal difference plus 20, Monaco's plus 8, so that's worth a point, really. Nice are fourth on 53. Rennes are fifth on 51, as are St Etienne on 51. Can't quite rule them out, 3 straight wins. Lille pushing for that Europa League spot, up to 7th on 49, and Angers on 46 in 8th. Down at the bottom, Troyes relegated, 14 points, the Aston Villa of France. They're gone. Toulouse still clinging on, 32 points from their 33 played. Gazalec 34, Reims 36, Montpellier 37, Guingamp 39, and Marseille 14th on 40 points, still without a home win since September. Would you like a little bit of news on Marseille?
Yeah, give us a bit of news and a game to watch next week.
I could do that. So the only real bit of news is, well, there's 2 brief bits, I suppose. Speaking with Marseille, Michel, we all love Michel, God bless him. He, according to RMC, the Marseille manager, Michel, actually asked to be sacked last week. He met the club's owner, Margarita Louis-Dreyfus, in Zurich. Nice work if you can get it. And the owner has apparently refused this offer option at the moment. The media outlet believes that Louis-Dreyfus took the decision either because she doesn't want to pay Michel to buy out the rest of his contract, probably more likely, or because she wants to wait until a new manager has been found by the club's representatives. And obviously the report furthers the depths of madness that's currently going on in Marseille. So Michel is on borrowed time. I don't think he'll be turning up in Real Madrid anytime soon, by the way. And the only other bit of news is Manchester City and PSG ahead of the tie. Kevin Trapp, Marco Verratti, Javier Pastore have all travelled, but there's quite a lot of speculation that all 3 won't be fit. So we'll have to wait and see what lineup PSG have got. But it's a tough-looking task as they go into that. Don't forget they got Matuidi already suspended and David Luiz suspended. So we shall see how that one goes.
Not necessarily the worst thing.
No, true. And if they play Marquinhos, who apparently, Tom will be interested in this, has agreed to move to Barcelona in the summer. I think if they play Marquinhos, they'll have a better job at centre-back anyway.
Oh, lovely. A game for us to watch
next week. Good point. Yes. Game to watch. It's the standout game of next week. It's Lyon against Nice. It's on Friday evening. I think it's on BT Sport in the UK. That is 2nd versus 4th. 2 points between them. Lyon on the home side. So that should be a cracker.
Oh, marvellous. See, don't need a social life, people. Just plenty of football to watch.
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. I can 100% vouch for that.
All right, I'll hand it back over to you then, Kris.
Super, thank you very much. Right, just before we leave our regular roundups and have a look at a player to have a little spotlight on, we're going to do a little roundup from another league around the world. And as I put my pin into the map, it stops at the best of the rest. And this week, we're going to have a little trip to Argentina. The Argentine League, it's really, really confusing. So I won't worry about explaining to you how it all finishes up, because we'll get to that when it finishes up. All you need to know at this stage is 10 games have been played. So I thought it was a nice little time to check in and see where teams are. So I'm sure a lot of you will know some of these teams when I read them out. But at the moment, Godoy Cruz are top of Group A. So this is where the Argentine League gets confusing. You've got Group A and Group B. So you've got Godoy Cruz and Arsenal, not that Arsenal, but Arsenal de Sarandi in second. Rosario Central, San Lorenzo are third and fourth respectively. Down at the bottom, Sarmiento, Banfield, Olimpio and Quilmes, or also Belgrano, who I follow, are down there. River Plate, you'll have heard of them. They're currently 10th, played 10. They've only won twice, drawn 4, lost 4. So that's Group A. As far as Group B, you'll be familiar with some of these names. Boca Juniors, the famous old name, they're down in 8th. They've only won 4, drawn 2, lost 4. Lanús are top, Hurricanes second, Estudiantes third, Atletico Tucumán are 4th. Love that name. And down at the bottom, Argentinos Juniors. They're not actually a junior side, but they are bottom. Atletico Rafaela, Newell's Old Boys, another big name club down at the bottom there in 13th. And Tempele also down there in 12th. So that's kind of where we're covering, or where we are currently on the coverage of the Argentinian League. Just give you a couple of results from the weekend, just a couple to stand out. Boca Juniors actually lost at the weekend. They lost to Tigre by 2-0. Also, Racing Club, champions previously, they lost to Aldivisi 2-1. And also another result to look out for, Arsenal, who said flying high in Group A. They won 4-1 away at Quilmes, which I think would probably be deemed as a bit of a surprise. Argentina not renowned for goals, but this weekend we had quite a few of them. So that's where we are as far as Argentina goes. We will, of course, keep you in touch with how things go moving on into the season. So as we say, at this stage, there's 10 games played. So there we go. There's a little trip outside of the norm. Right then, let's skip on to our next segment, and it is this week's Hipsters Choice. Right, I know John's been waiting for this one for a lot of time, so we shall waste no time in announcing who it is. We're taking a little trip to Italy, and a player who I know a lot of people are huge admirers of. It is Juventus's Paulo Dybala. So let's get into it then. Paulo Bruno Ezequiel Dybala, that's his full name. He was born on November the 15th, 1993. Makes him 22 years of age. He is Argentine. He's 5'9" tall. That's just an inch taller than me. He is 161 pounds. He's Juventus's 21 and wearing shirt number. He is a forward, plays on the left-hand side predominantly, and he is a client of Nike, wearing their Mercurial Superfly boots. He is on Twitter, so you can stalk him. He's at PaulDybala_JR, presume that's junior. He's also on Instagram, and he's verified and reliably informed. Paulo Dybala, all one word, and he's even on YouTube. So you can look up his skills. I will, of course, post a video link to those later on. As far as the bio goes, well, he was born in Laguna Larga, a small town approximately 500 kilometers southeast of Cordoba, Argentina's second largest city, although his heritage through grandparents includes both Polish and Italian, which I must admit was news to me. He played for his local side Estudianto Atlético Central Cordoba between 2003 and 2011, and he impressed in the Argentine second division age 17, scoring 17 goals in 40 games and becoming the club's youngest scorer, surpassing the record previously held by a certain gentleman you might remember called Mario Kempes. Not surprisingly, Dybala's impressive performances attracted interest from Europe, and in July 2012, Palermo announced that they had signed a new manager. No, sorry, they had signed Dybala. Cheeky joke there. The new Sergio Aguero, he was dubbed. He made his Serie A debut against Lazio in the 3-0 home defeat on September the 2nd, 2012, and he notched his first goal and indeed his second goal for the club on November the 11th in a 2-0 victory over Sampdoria. His first 2 seasons yielded just 8 goals in 58 games as Palermo were relegated from Serie A, sounds familiar, and then promoted in the 2014-15 season. And in that season, it proved to be his breakthrough for Palermo. He scored 10 goals in the first half, forming a successful strike partnership, which I remember well, with fellow Argentine-Italian forward Franco Vasquez. He finished the season with 34 league appearances, 13 goals and 10 assists, and the club finished mid-table. His performances attract the interest of numerous big clubs, including Arsenal, who he didn't sign for, of course. It was actually Juventus who secured the signature of the rising star for 32 million euros plus 8 million in add-ons. Seems like a bargain now. He made his debut for Juve in 2015, the Supercoppa Italia clash against Lazio in Shanghai. Ironically, the same club he made his debut against Palermo for, by the way. Came on as a 61st minute substitute for Bayern Munich's now player Kingsley Coman, and he scored in the side's 2-0 victory. His Serie A debut with Juventus came on the first league game of the season, a surprising 1-0 loss to Udinese, where he came on for again Coman in the 65th minute, and he started the next match and scored his first goal for Juventus against Roma, although the team lost 2-1 in what was overall a very disappointing start to the season for Juve, as indeed John has mentioned. Dybala has since been a revelation at Juventus this season, proving many were sceptical of the impact he would make, and at large for the storied club, he certainly proved them wrong. He's nicknamed La Joya, the jewel in Argentine. Dybala is known for his dribbling and close control in limited spaces, as well as his ability to protect the ball with his back to goal, and his pace and positioning and ball skills are what made people think he could be one of the very best in the world. He's capable of creating chances for teammates as well as scoring goals due to his powerful and accurate shooting and heading ability. He's a versatile forward as well, capable of playing in any positions across the forward line or as a striker, and he's equally adept at shooting with his right foot as well as his stronger left foot. You'd be hard pressed to find weaknesses in Dybala's game. In the past, people have pointed to his frame. He's not particularly tall or heavy, that being an issue, especially when he was moving to a more physical league, although he has added 4 kilograms of muscle apparently since moving from Palermo. Also, given his height, he's not particularly prolific in the air. He's typically employed behind Mandzukic or Morata in Allegri's 3-5-2, John's favourite, and the 4-3-1-2 league formats. However, unlike Palermo, where he was a more out-and-out centre-forward, he's asked by Allegri to get involved in the play from deeper positions. Only 4 Juve players have made more appearances and played more minutes than Dybala this season: Buffon, Bonucci, Barzagli and Pogba, showing just how instrumental he is. And finally, although he was eligible to play for the Polish, Italian and Argentine national teams, he was approached by the then Italian head coach Cesare Prandelli in December 2012 to play for the national side. He, however, chose to play for the country of his birth. In 2015, he earned 3 caps for Argentina. His first appearance came in the October the 13th, 2015, when he replaced Carlos Tevez in the 75th minute during a World Cup qualifying match. We'll finish off with some stats this season then. 2015 season, 29 appearances, 2,095 minutes that is. He has scored 14 goals, which is tied second in Serie A with Carlos Bacca at time of recording. He's got 8 assists, tied in 4th with Paul Pogba. He has 1 yellow card, no red cards. He averages 3.0 shots per game, which is pretty impressive, by the way. And that's the 5th best in Serie A, along with Berardi, Vasquez and Quagliarella. He averages 29.7% or 29.7 passes per game. His average pass success rate is 84.3%. He averages 2.3 dribbles per game. He's been man of the match 5 times, and he has an average rating with Who Scored at 7.55. Okay, there we go. Right, John, I'll come straight across to you then. Paulo Dybala. I know he's a player that you rate very highly, that you enjoy watching, and in your opinion, he could be one of the world's great players in the coming years.
Yeah. Do you want me to tell you two things you got wrong?
Absolutely. I only look at the stats that Kelly lovingly provides for us. So go on, throw her
I don't know if it was you or Kelly. I'll throw one of you under the bus. Loyola, it does mean the jewel, but it's Spanish, as there is no such language as Argentine.
That was entirely my fault. So Kelly can't take the rap for that. That's entirely my fault.
They do have their own. They do have their own sort of slang version, the way they pronounce nouns and stuff. But yeah, that was the only thing. The other stuff was actually completely fine. The actual bits about the player, but never mind. It was a language one. I just thought I'd wind you up and be horrible. No, getting back to football. I mean, just some of the things that you read out there. The stat about beating Mario Kempes' record. You know, if you're not old enough or you don't remember who Mario Kempes is, go look him up. He's amazing. He led the line in Argentina winning the World Cup in '78. Is that the right year they won? Yeah, it was the year, yeah. And the stat about beating the scoring record is not just that, it's the fact that he made 38 consecutive games, which no one had ever done before. He's very rarely injured, which I'm now going to completely contradict by the fact he is currently injured, but he just doesn't seem to get injured with someone with such a small frame. It's incredible. He's really strengthened up since he's joined Juve. He just holds people off. The way he dribbles with the ball, protects it, the vision he's got, his finishing, it's just incredible. I was one of the people, like many, who I thought it was a good move for him from Palermo. I wasn't convinced he'd be an instant hit. I thought it'd take longer. I thought he was going to struggle without Vasquez, because when there was lots of stories about him leaving Palermo in January, before he made his move in the summer to Juve, his form seemed to drop off, and I thought maybe the pressure was getting to him a bit. And when he was first at Juve, Allegri wasn't particularly keen on him, and he wasn't being played as much, and the fans were getting very stressed out about it. But whatever Allegri had done, it obviously spurred him on, and he improved in training, and he's come into the team, and he's really turned him around. It's funny that he wears the number 21, which was Andrea Pirlo's shirt, and Paul Pogba wears the number 10, because I always thought it should be the other way round, because he really reminds me of Del Piero, sort of pre-2000s Del Piero, when he still had his pace on the ball. He's not really fast, but he can just dribble past players, and especially when he's one-on-one, like Del Piero used to do it all the time. He just used to beat the man. Free kicks is amazing, and there was a thing called the Del Piero zone, which is where Del Piero was famously cutting from the left onto his right foot and curl it in into the top corner, a bit like Pires used to do for Arsenal, that kind of thing. And Dybala can do the same thing from the right-hand side when he plays there. He's got such versatility. I just think he's an incredible player, and how he's adapted so quickly to that Juve team, which is huge pressure because they are expected to win everything, is really incredible. And he's got his first Champions League goal as well against Bayern Munich of all teams, and they really missed him in the second leg, the fact he was out injured. So he's got a huge career ahead of him. Whether he stays in Italy, I have no idea, but he's really got the ability to be one of those incredible players. I don't want to force it too much and say Messi and Ronaldo-esque, but it's very close. He's got everything about him.
I agree. No, I agree, and I think the comparison with Del Piero is a really good one, because he's the way he moves, the way he plays the game, just everything about him. I really think that's a great comparison. So, super, and just
he's got Barca written all over him.
Oh, here we go. Here he is.
It's true. He really does. Sadly, people have made comparisons to Aguero, Messi. I think Messi is an individual, and I don't think you ever really compare. The closest comparison they have for him was Maradona, but Dybala he's completely different. He's just an amazing player to watch. He's so fun to watch. He's fantastic. If you ever get the opportunity to, always turn the TV on and watch him, because it's just joy. If Sky still had that ability to just put the camera on one player, I'd just have it on him the whole 90 minutes. And I hate Juventus. I never want them to win anything, but I'll gladly watch them when he's in the team.
Agreed, absolutely. So just to clarify, Kelly did not make any mistakes. Her excellent work is always appreciated. It was just the host being a dumbass and not being able to pronounce things correctly. So.
Oh, you pronounced it perfectly fine. Don't worry. I'm going to butcher something in a bit. Don't worry with pronunciation, so you can get me back.
It's all right. I've just created my own language, Argentine. It's a brand new creation. I'm sure the Argentinian people are really pleased that I've created it for them. So it's all good. Right, let's move on then. And just a reminder, as you would normally hear the Team of the Week jingle here, again, Team of the Week is no more on the podcast, but you can catch it on our timeline. And I promise you, it has nothing to do with the fact that I would have to have put Andy Carroll in this week. I promise, it's nothing to do with that at all. Honest. Right, let's move on then to our final segment. It's your questions answered, and it is this week's Onion Bag. Now, super. Let's crack on then. Now, I know, Drew, you had a question that was so good it got DM'd to you. Am I right?
Yeah, that actually happened.
And the reason I'm passing this question to you is because I cannot for the life of me find where I saved it in my damn phone. So, would you like to remind the listeners of the question and then go ahead and answer it?
I wish you asked me this before, because now I have to pull it up. Oh, no, I did. So it comes from our good friend Jimmy R. It's at @NN_Gunner. He asked, he said, "Hello, sir." Yeah, he's great conversationalist if you ever want to check him out. I'll read the message. "Hello, sir. Hope you're having a good evening. My question is such: in the dying matches of the season, Leverkusen has to play Schalke, Hertha, and Gladbach. Realistically, how many points will they have to take from those 3 matches to secure Champions League?" It's a really good question. Honestly, for me, they'll have to beat Hertha, and I think they'll have to beat Schalke. I think if they slip up against Gladbach, I'm not quite sure if it's Gladbach at home or away. But I think 6 points out of those 9, I think, will do them good. And I think other clubs around them are capable of also dropping points. So I think their destiny is in their own hands. If they just keep getting results, they'll get that their guaranteed Champions League spot. So yeah, thank you for the question, of course, as always.
Absolutely, yeah, very, very good question. And feel free to DM us if there is something you want to go into a bit more detail than a tweet will allow. So please feel free. Not much point in emailing us because we keep forgetting to check the email box, which reminds me. I must do that.
A lot of people say we.
Yeah, same way. I should. Terrible host. John, before we take the next question, you had a tweet about Mihailovic that you mentioned earlier on. Did you want to just quickly bring that up?
Yeah, we still have no official confirmation. I mean, if he isn't sacked now, he's going to either be sacked or walk away. But his official Twitter account, I didn't even know Mihailovic had an official Twitter account. I assume it's a company one and someone, some sports company runs it for him. But I'm going to do my terrible Italian now. So it reads, Grazie per tutto l'affetto, è stato un onore. So, horrible. So, apologies to anyone who's Italian or can speak it, because that probably didn't sound anything like it should have done. But apparently it translates to as, thanks for all the love, it was an honour, which I think means bye-bye.
Yes, I reckon that was written in Argentine somehow.
Yeah, that actually, to be honest, that probably was closer to Argentine, a fictional language, than Italian, because my Italian is terrible.
Argentinian, as we shall think.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Super. Okay.
It's like Canada.
Canadian. Right, couple of questions then. Let's whip through these and see how many we can get answered. First one comes from PG Nez, a good friend of ours, a French fanatic. He wants to know what can be done about Marseille. Crikey, there's a question, PG. It's hard to run a lunatic asylum when the guards don't even speak to each other. I love that. Brilliant. He's very articulate, PG. Good question. I think we've done Marseille to death to a certain degree, so I'm probably going to be repeating a lot of what we've said previously. But for me, so much needs to change at Marseille. The owner, the president, the setup. They need to start retaining players. They need to start buying players. It's just a massive mess. It's a huge summer for them. I think it's pretty clear that Michel will not be there next season. If they can get a good manager in, I actually think Pellegrini might be a really good choice if they can convince him that he'll get the sort of sort of players that he needs. So I think he'd be a good calming, steadying presence for the Marseille faithful. It's going to be so tough though, because realistically this summer they're going to lose Mandanda, they're going to lose Nkulu, they could lose Michy Batshuayi if he has a good Euros or if the right offer comes in, and more. To be fair, Nkudu it could be another one that could go. There's doubts over Florian Thauvin, who's only just come back and is already making noises about being off again. So they're a mess. I think massive changes need to happen. The biggest thing to happen, or could happen for Marseille, is them to be bought out and have completely new ownership and start again. But for one of Europe's great clubs, the scenes that we saw against Bordeaux on Sunday night were really depressing. So hopefully it gets sorted out soon. Let's find one for Tom, shall we? See what we can find. This is a good one. Frank McClintock. In fact, actually, it's kind of a crossover question actually, because he hashtags it with Bundesliga, because he says, can Wolfsburg do the business versus the second best team in Madrid with a crying face or a laughing face? So I'll give that one to Tom, even though it's kind of Bundesliga. What do you think about this second leg?
I think that Real Madrid are going to go all out because that's all they can do. The only thing is, though, and I was listening to the Football Weekly podcast, little plug there, and Sid Lowe was talking about how it's in the Real Madrid DNA that they don't usually turn around comebacks. They haven't done it in the past few attempts that they've been 2-0 down after the first leg. But I think they'll be well up for it. I think they'll go for it. And then they are quite accustomed to scoring a lot of goals at home against different teams. So I think it's possible. But I wouldn't bet on it, even if as a betting man as I am. But I think that it's possible that they can go through.
Here's a shout for you. 3-0 up, 10 minutes to go, concede a sloppy goal because Ramos probably trips them.
Bent will come on and score it.
Oh, can you imagine?
Am I right in saying that no club has come back from 2-0 down in the Champions League?
I think that's after the away leg.
Yes.
Is it the away leg? Oh, okay, yeah. I knew there was some funny record like that. The one thing with that game that confuses me is that, like Tom, I think Madrid can score a hatful of goals, but I just convinced they're always going to concede because their defence is such a mess.
Yeah, it depends if Wolfsburg take their chances or not. That's
yeah.
Roma is the blueprint, isn't it?
Yeah,
you see how
exactly.
disappointed.
Oh, good, yeah. Roma just looking at that game going, if we could finish, they would have gone through that tie. Yeah. I mean, then they probably would have been spanked by Wolfsburg. Yeah. If Draxler plays the way he did in the first leg, then I think Madrid are going to have real problems. Though.
And bear in mind, of course, Roma didn't just have one or two open chances. They had, 6 or 7 really good chances. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would have looked like a weldy on that night.
Oh, gosh. It's going to be one to watch, definitely. One to watch. John, here's the question on Palermo for you. Michael Filetti, lost count of how many managers Palermo have had now. Well, we've told you it's 9, so there you go, Michael. But he wants to know, John, will they actually stay up?
The weird thing is they still can. Oh dear. I mean, we think it's 9. I'm pretty sure it's 9. I'll be honest, I've got tired of counting. It's worse than getting the questions about the UEFA rules, regulations, 31.B, Part 5A or whatever, and all those sort of things. No, that isn't a hint, listeners, for any more questions on those horrible things either. It's possible because Carpi and them are level on points. Palermo's goal difference, though, is 7 worse. So... the problem is, I don't see where Palermo are going to get a win. And if Ballardini comes in, and the stories of what happened last time he was there and how much the squad hate him, then it just doesn't seem like it's going to work. They're just a weird club that even if they go down, sometimes a club needs to get relegated and come back up and sort of refresh and rebuild a new squad. But whilst Zamperini's there and he's constantly changing around managers, even more so. I mean, it's always nuts at Palermo, but it's been even like 10 times worse this season. You just really don't know. It all depends on Carpi. Basically, Carpi have got themselves a great opportunity now to get out of it, just because Palermo is so awful. But there still is, despite the insanity that's going on there this season, the slightest chance that Palermo can stay up, which would be unbelievable if they do. It'd be crazy. Really would, really would. But stranger things have happened, as you say. You just never know what one result can do. And yeah, watch this space. I won't put any money on it. One for Drew. This one's from A1 at odds. First, he says, was Thomas Tuchel right to rest his big players in the derby for Liverpool, especially since Bayern are slipping away?
Well, I mean, I think I kind of alluded to it before. I think he wasn't right in doing it. When you're still in the title race, as Dortmund are, I feel like I said before, players should have just been told, you're gonna have to earn your money this week. Crucial match. It's not just the derby against Schalke, and no one wants to miss that anyway. It's the fact that they're still trying to catch Bayern, and they have every chance to do it if they keep getting results. So I think this result personally is a bit of a letdown for me as a Dortmund supporter, also, and just in general, you want to see, your team go out and fight for it. And I mean, I think Faith was put in the right players. Christian Pulisic just come on leaps and bounds. Players like that did maybe deserve a chance, but I feel like the right 11, or the best 11 rather, should have been used for this game for sure. And then you play your best players. Say you take a lead at halftime, then you take them off if you're worried about rest. You bring on the youngsters. You bring on the depth or whatever. But I think the approach may have been the wrong one. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I could incline to agree with that. A couple of quick fire ones for you, Tom. Liam Partridge, one player from La Liga who you would sign for us, and by us, I'm assuming he means Arsenal.
Right now, Griezmann, but that's just easy to say.
Yeah. Can we have Krychowiak as well?
Yeah, Krychowiak.
That big Polish bloke, that'll do. Another one, Touch of Alexis. At Touch of Alexis, obviously. Players from La Liga, who would you like to see play in the Premier League? Can't be from Real Madrid, Barcelona, and Valencia.
Ava Banega at Sevilla, great player. Gaia at Valencia, and Asensio, obviously.
Naturally. Not Iñaki Williams.
Oh, yeah, him as well. And Sergio Moreno as well.
Oh, yeah. And all the rest of them. Can't have them all. And also, what team in La Liga, this is from @Checkaholic, by the way, what team in La Liga has been the surprise of the season and your current player and young player of the season? It's got to be Las Palmas, isn't it?
Oh, Jesus. Las Palmas all set of ego, seeing as they're sitting in fifth. They're doing amazing. And what was it, Young Player of the Year?
Player and young player of the year. Who would you vote for? Yeah?
Player of the year. I can't get past Suarez, to be honest. He's been incredible for Barcelona this season.
I'm going to change the question. You can't have a Real Madrid, Atletico, or Barcelona player.
I'm going to make you really happy and say Gamero.
Yay!
So I'll go with Gamero, and then young player, Peñaranda at Granada, who's owned by Watford now. So
there's a few there, isn't there? Because I suppose you could have Iñaki as young, and you could also have and Sanabria.
You can have Gaia at Valencia.
Yeah,
there's loads of young. Yeah. So
who is the Spanish international striker who's about 50, whose name I can't remember? There we go, Adariz. Yeah, as well.
Yeah.
Phil Neville.
I've had some great players. Phil and Gary. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, there's a few, isn't there? Santi Mina has been pretty decent. Been
a bright light in a dark cave. Yeah,
sounds very familiar. Certainly won't be Carlos Vela because he might eat the award.
So should Dad. You got Oyarzabal, the guy who scored against Barcelona.
Send us yours, people. Send us your players of the season from your respective leagues, if you like. That's always a good talking point. Another one for Liga for me. Frank McClintock at Cashod. He says, Kris, can Lyon keep Lacazette if they have Champions League football? And will they finally buy some players to help? It's a good question, that, Frank, because, I say Frank Cashod, I don't know what I should call you. Nigel. It's a really good question because Lacazette has always said that he wants to play Champions League football, but he's never hidden the fact that he loves Lyon and he loves the fact that they gave him the opportunity. They stuck by him when he was a player who was not really living up to his potential. I actually think he could stay at Lyon next season. The problem is the decision won't come down to the player, in my opinion. I think he's already made noises that he'd like to play Premier League football, and I think that's as much about Jean-Michel Aulas's wishes as it is Lacazette's wishes, in that he is the most saleable asset other than Nabil Fekir. And the problem that Lyon have got is that Fekir has only got a short amount of time to get himself fit and therefore get his valuation up. If he goes to the Euros, which there's still a chance he might, then his valuation could rocket. He could be the most sellable asset. However, if Lacazette goes to the Euros, or even if he doesn't, he's got the goals, therefore he'll attract the most money. And even by most money, I still think it'll only cost about 20 million to get him. So it's a good question. If I had to put money on it, I say he leaves. But if Lyon do qualify for the Champions League, there's a good chance that he could decide to stay. It's a good question, that. Here's another good one coming up. I think this might be our last one, actually. It's from Callum. And he's asked a question that goes kind of across all of us. So I'll have this as our last question. He says, "Who's the most promising youngster from your respective hipster team?" So obviously this is our teams for Mighty 90. So Drew, let's start with you. Who's the most impressive teenager or young player at Feyenoord right now?
Nope, you can't start with me because you didn't give us a heads up.
Oh, caught you unawares.
I can go first.
Go on then,
It's
John.
easy for my team.
You're going to say the who,
Gl-
don't you?
Yeah, Gladbach's easy. It's the Hood. He's fantastic, and I'm going to cry when he leaves in the summer and goes to play for someone else because there is no way they can keep hold of that kid. He's so talented. He's brilliant, and he's only going to get better. I will give a notable nod to Anders Christensen as well, the youngster on loan from Chelsea, who I think's done really well this season. He's improved with every game. So Chelsea look like they've got a real talent there, which also makes me cry.
Yeah, that's quite upsetting, isn't it? Absolutely. Drew, have you got somebody?
Yeah. Usually people would say like Tony Vellina or even like a Terence Gongola, but I like Rick Karsdorp a lot. He's still a little inconsistent at right back, but the Netherlands for a while now have struggled to have wing backs who can make the grade consistently and even provide a little bit of creativity. And he has 8 assists this season in Eredivisie from right back, so I'll pick him. There you go.
Okay, good stuff. And Tom, one for you.
It's quite easy for me. Naby Keita, young 20-year-old Guinean. Is that how you say it? It's from Guinea.
Yes.
Guinean? Yeah. Ghanaian. Yes.
No, Ghanaian is if you're from Ghana.
Oh no, that'd be Ghanaian. Yeah, sorry,
Guinean,
my bad. Oh, there you go, Chris. You can laugh at me now.
Very good.
Hang on a minute, Tom. You're the geography student. You should know that.
I know every country. We've gone through this. Drew will agree. He could be easily playing in the Bundesliga, in the German Bundesliga. That is quite easily for a decent side. He's got a big future, and unlike John, I won't be crying because he signed a new contract to 2021. So yes, all happy days.
Happy days. Well, in typical Carpenter style, I couldn't separate 3 players, so I'll just give you 3. Jimmy Cabot, young, exciting, 21 years of age, signed from Troyes, really like him. This is Lorient, of course. Also, Didier Ndong, I know his name makes everyone laugh, but he's very, very talented. I know he's been linked with the likes of Sunderland and Crystal Palace in the Premier League. I know they're not big sides, but for a player of his background to be linked with those is pretty good. And also Rafael Guerreiro, who just might end up pitching up at Arsenal next season. 22 years of age, already a Portuguese international. Takes a pretty mean free kick, bags of energy up and down the left flank, so I like him. One notable nod I'll give is to Benjamin Lecomte, who's the goalkeeper. I don't think you can class him as a young player at 24, but I'm going to make a very wild claim here. He will be a French international within 3 years. I'll say that much. So there you go. That's mine.
No one else in the squad you wanted to pick?
No, I'll stick with a 3/4. I'm good with those.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's my show, so I'll do what I want. Just before we wrap this episode up to a close, I just want to give a notable shout out to Kyle Bonner, who's at Zero Signal, who we don't always do these, so it's something I'd like to start doing, where people tweet us with players or goals to watch or things they notice. Kyle tweeted us and said, along with Arsenal, I'm also a Rangers supporter, and this guy is a special talent. He has massive potential. It's the lad James Tavernier, who I think from memory, wasn't he at Newcastle? I might be wrong, but yeah, I thought he was.
The name set rings a bell. But,
yeah.
My knowledge of Scottish football was rather poor.
Yes, well, do have a look at 0Signal7, Kyle's Twitter handle. He's tweeted the goal. It's in the game between Rangers and Peterhead, which I think was a cup final at the weekend. He scored a sensational goal to make it 2-0 before half-time. It's a very good goal, so do have a look at that. And also, check in Nando's lad. He sent us a tweet from Czech Republic. He's just said, fantastic episode as always, guys. Thanks for answering my team of the season question and the Leicester one. That is, of course, referring to our breakfast pod, which, if you don't know already, myself and Danny and Ross generally do, although John was a guest last night because Ross was away. It's basically where we do this pod kind of in a slightly shortened version, where we just talk about all things Premier League and English football. So if you like European football, this is the place to be. If you like a little bit of English as well, usually our pods go up on a Sunday night / early hours of Monday morning, so you can get your English fix as well. 2 pods for the price of 1. What do you know? So So yeah, there you go. A little bit of feedback for our guys. So thank you very much. But that is it for this episode. As usual, tweet us at the FH Podcast. You can leave comments on our YouTube page. Give us a little thumbs up if you like. Of course, give us an iTunes review if you do have the time. We do appreciate those. Just a 5-star review and a little comment gives us a lot more exposure to the world around and pushes us up those charts, and more people can find us. So tell your friends, and if they don't want to listen, keep telling them until they're forced to listen. That's what we like to do. But that's it for this episode. So thank you very much to my fellow hipsters, to Drew, to Tom, and to John. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you.
No problem.
And of course, thank you, Drew. And of course, do read Drew's blog. I should say that as well, Drew. You have a blog up right now on our website, and of course, your Hipster Hall of Fame will return on Friday as well. So, do you know who's in it this week, by the way?
Finally, I don't know. Pick one. I'm tired of deciding.
I tell you what.
I could have the listeners vote.
I was just gonna say,
put it on a Twitter account. I'll give you 5 options.
You give us 5 options. The listeners will decide. So look out for that poll. We'll put that up tomorrow, and you can decide who you want to see featured. So give it a read. Yes. Absolutely. Go and have a look at our website. There's not loads on it, but there's plenty to keep you amused. You can, if nothing else, you can laugh at Tom's profile picture. Hilarious. Footballhipsterspodcast.co.uk. Give it a look. Right, that's it. So keep your beard strong and your glasses trendy. Thank you ever so much for listening. Without you, there's no point in us doing this. So enjoy, and we will speak to you on the Satchel on Thursday and back on the English Breakfast on Sunday. Keep it football, keep it hipster. Ciao for now.
Frapper le corner. Oh, quel geste! Quel geste! L'égalisation de Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Andres Iniesta, se anima Andres. Andres tocó la evolución de Neymar. Messi.
Versucht alles aus sich rauszuholen, verfolgt von Schmelzer. Müller, vorbei an Weidenfeller. Müller, Bayern München ist Pokalsieger.
Che può battere Insigne con il destro a giro, ad Atlanta, favoloso, si gonfia la rete, favoloso.